What is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. On the post-game recap, Alabama 59, Vanderbilt 0. My goodness, Alabama dropping the hammer in Nashville, Tennessee. Gonna recap the game, thoughts, analysis. It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Won't keep you too long. This game was about sending a message, I think. And right away, Alabama did it. I mean, from the opening quarter, Alabama scores 21 to jump out to a 21-0 lead over Vanderbilt. Scored 10 more in the second quarter and kept it going. And that was something that I wanted to see from Alabama. I wanted to see if they could put together a complete game, close the door, finish up an opponent. I don't think that we've seen that from Alabama through the first 3 games. And I think we saw 4 complete dominating quarters today. Now remember, Alabama came into this game facing Kyle Schumer of Vanderbilt, who had the highest quarterback efficiency rating in the SEC. Today, Schumer was 4 of 15 for 18 yards. Are you kidding me? For a rating of 23.4. My goodness, shut him down, made a statement. Ronnie Harrison with that big interception to open up the game off a tipped deflection. And really, just Schumer and as well as Vanderbilt didn't have an answer for any of Alabama's offense or defense. Check these stats out. These are very mind-blowing stats, if you will. Total yardage today by Alabama, 677 offensive yards. It's the second most all-time ever at Alabama, okay? 496 yards rushing on the ground, 181 yards passing. Now on the flip side, Vanderbilt, 78 yards of offense. So Alabama outgained Vanderbilt 677 yards to 78 yards. It's really hard to fathom. You don't see many games like this in college football. Vanderbilt only had 40 yards rushing and 38 yards passing on the day. Alabama, they did have a few penalties, a few too many penalties in my opinion. If you're nitpicking, they had 6 penalties for 40 yards. But in all phases of the game, they did well. Check this out. This stat is incredible. Alabama had 38 first downs today. You know how many Vanderbilt had? 3. 38 to 3. I've never seen that before. Honestly, I've never seen it. Third down efficiency, Alabama was awesome. 9 of 15, moved the chains very well. 2 for 2, even on 4th downs. 93 total plays for Alabama in the game. Time of possession, this is unbelievable. 42-55 for Alabama compared to 17 minutes that Vanderbilt had the football. Alabama has 7 points off turnovers. Now, as we look towards the offensive individual stats, Jalen Hurts, 9 of 17 passing today for 78 yards. Didn't have the most shining day, in my opinion. We didn't see him take off on the ground. In fact, he only had 48 yards on the ground, which is still a lot for a quarterback, but usually we're seeing him over that 100-yard threshold, and I'm glad we didn't see him today. That wasn't necessarily needed from Jalen, but I don't think Jalen was necessarily shining. He missed on a would-be touchdown to Robert Foster earlier in the game, and that was an interesting play because I was on the field today and I saw Jalen make eye contact with Robert Foster, who was split out wide to the left, and then he just literally telegraphed it right to Foster. If I'm a safety, I'm playing that all day. Now, Jalen did throw it a little bit too far, so I think you're still going to need to see some improvement from Jalen going forward, but he's getting there. And look, the kid wins. He's 17-1 all-time at Alabama as a starter, so please, I do not want to hear about a quarterback competition going forward. Now, Tua Tagovailoa, the true freshman from Hawaii, he had a phenomenal day today. 8 of 10 passing, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, we can talk about why I don't want to hear about quarterback battle in a little bit. But let's just highlight Tua's accomplishments today. And he did very well. The team had all the momentum. There's no pressure. You just come in and you just do your job. And that's exactly what Tua did today, was execute. And we saw plenty of execution. His quarterback rating was an incredible 232.5. Now, he connected with Jerry Jeudy for a touchdown, and he also connected with Devontae Smith. Those are also 2 true freshmen. And on that play that he hit Devontae Smith, I haven't seen a better play yet in college football. We'll GIF it. We'll put it on the website. It's already on the message boards. People are blowing it up. He evaded a defender, kept looking downfield, did a spin, evaded another defender, and then he threw a beautiful touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. That was the play of the game. That was the highlight of the day, in my opinion. I mean, he was fired up after. You could tell he was excited on social media, said all praise goes to God. And you got to love it for the kid to come out today and have a shining moment in Vanderbilt against, you know, what was, incredibly enough, the nation's #1 defense going into that game. And Alabama paced up 677 yards of total offense. Other individual stats, Damian Harris is the first Alabama running back this season to go over the 100-yard mark. He had 12 attempts for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 61-yard touchdown run early in the first quarter. He had an average of 12.6 per game. Bo Scarborough, 11 carries, 79 yards. I thought he was really effective as well. 2 touchdowns. Longest was from 19 yards out. 7.2 average. Najee Harris, you know, we saw him do his thing, even hurdled a defender. 10 carries, 70 yards. His longest was 14. And we even saw Brian Robinson out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, hit the field today. 5 attempts, 51 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he looked good. And then, you know, as I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts with 9 carries, 48 yards. Ronnie Clark, 10 carries, 48 yards. And then even Josh Jacobs got in the mix, 4 carries, 28 yards. Tua, he even had a nice little scamper there for 22 yards. So altogether, Alabama had 66 rushing attempts for 496 yards with 6 touchdowns. 9 different rushers. It's unbelievable. Leading the way receiving-wise, Calvin Ridley again. 5 receptions for 43 yards. He was targeted 9 times on the day. He actually had a dropped pass in the end zone earlier in the game, which I thought was uncharacteristic for him. Even Saban said that during his post-game press conference. Jerry Jeudy had a nice showing today. 3 receptions, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. I think this was probably his biggest game of the season. He was targeted 3 times as well. Irv Smith Jr. Stepping up for the injured Miller Forrestall, had 2 catches for 14 yards. Devontae Smith hauled in 1 reception for 27 yards, which was that touchdown. Cam Sims, he made it looked like it was going to be an interception off a Vanderbilt player, and then the Vanderbilt player tipped it in the air, and then Cam Sims, with a good heads-up play, caught it and reeled off an 11-yard reception. He finished with 1 on the day. Damian Harris had a catch, as did Major Tennyson, the true freshman. So we saw a lot of true freshmen play today, and I thought it was really great to see a lot of these new guys get reps and get quality reps. Now, as we switch to the defensive side of the football today, I think the addition of Rashaan Evans was the reason Alabama had the day that they did. I mean, I was down on the field, as I mentioned, and he literally was getting so much heat on Kyle Schumer that Schumer was just tossing it up, and he was drilling him every single time. I think the defense moving forward will be predicated on the success that Evans has, because I think he's the alpha dog, along with Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary, and then, of course, you have Deron Payne up front. So, you know, you have your 3 leaders out on the field. I think we really saw Alabama's defense come together as a complete unit today. It was really dominating football from front to end, and I think Alabama has a lot of momentum going into this game against Ole Miss. That game will be next Saturday at 8 p.m. at Bryant-Denny Stadium. You're listening to the BamaInsider.com post-game podcast outside of Vanderbilt's football stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. My name is Kyle Henderson, talking the Alabama win today against Vanderbilt, and I'm bringing up some college football scores. I wanted to read a couple today. There was some big-time games across the nation, and let me bring up those right now, and then we can kind of just talk about some games that went down. Now, I wanted to get back to something real quick before I talk about the college football scores and close out the show. Earlier, I said I don't want to talk about a quarterback battle here at Alabama, okay? Yes, Tua Tagovailoa had the better day against Vanderbilt, okay? However, Jalen is the guy. Remember, 17-1 as a starter. Tua, though he had a nice showing, he's still got a ways to go. And the times that we've seen him earlier against Colorado State as well as Fresno State, he doesn't look ready. He's not ready to lead the show, not yet. but he's going to get his reps, and he's got quality reps today. That's what he got today. And it's going to be very interesting to see how he progresses off this. And the next time he gets in, we don't know when that's going to be. We don't know if Alabama's going to drop the hammer on Ole Miss. We don't know what the future holds. But we do know this. Alabama has their quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And until he's dethroned, he's the guy. Tua is a very capable number 2 quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with having a number 2 quality quarterback. That doesn't exist many places in college football. So while Tua had a great day, remember, it's against Vanderbilt, a team that, while they did have a strong defense on paper, I think Alabama punched right through that soft piece of paper. And you have to remember that going forward. So I'm not taking anything away from Tua, because I think he's a wonderful individual off the field. And I think he's going to have a wonderful career at Alabama when it's his time. But right now, this team belongs to Jalen Hurts. Let's not get that twisted. Tua Tagovailoa is going to get his shot, and I am more than excited that he had a big day today. Some of the plays he made were fantastic. I haven't seen a freshman play at that level maybe ever. I mean, that play that we talked about earlier in the show when he looked downfield and hit Devontae, that's big time stuff, and I think Alabama fans should be elated about this kid coming up in the future. So the college football scoreboard reads like this. South Florida 43, Temple 7. Utah, ranked number 23, defeats Arizona 30-24. Florida State, ranked number 12, an opponent that was ranked number 3 when Alabama beat them in week 1, goes down to NC State 27-21. UNLV gets drubbed by number 10, Ohio State 54-21. Louisville bounces back after their loss to Clemson, defeats Kent State 42-3. Virginia Tech beats Old Dominion 38-0, now ranked 13th in the country. Cal survives California 30-20. USC ranked number 5 in the country. Clemson, who lost their field goal kicker for the year to an ACL tear earlier this week, defeats Boston College 34-7. Alabama, right here in Nashville, defeats Vanderbilt 59-0. Miami defeats Toledo 52-30. Miami ranked 14th this week. Check out this one. Texas Christian beats Oklahoma State, who was ranked 6th, 44-31. Didn't see that one coming. Michigan defeats Purdue 28-10. I think they were trailing. I think Michigan was trailing at some point in that game. Washington State and Mike Leach doing their thing, ranked number 18th in the country, defeat Nevada, or at least they are defeating Nevada at this point, 38-0. Oklahoma, keep your eyes on them. They're having a very strong season. Defeat Baylor, or beating Baylor, I should say, 28-17 in the second quarter. Again, my name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. You can catch all our coverage of Alabama defeating Vanderbilt on BamaInsider.com. We got tons of written content by Tony Sakalis. We got tons of message board action. We got Nick Saban's press conference from Vanderbilt, and we'll also be bringing you the press conference on Monday as Nick Saban opens up the week, closing the door on Vanderbilt and opening the door on Ole Miss, who should be a very formidable opponent going into week 5 of the college football season. From Nashville, Tennessee, this is the BamaInsider.com post-game podcast. We'll catch up with you soon on BamaInsider.com.